something was weird about him shaving his head, and I was like, what's going on here? I'm like, oh, he has white hair. Duh, he's this bastard. It makes perfect sense. Honestly, yo, why are my teeth? My teeth look so black. Ugh. I need to brush my teeth more. I just finished the season 2 finale of House of the Dragon, The Queen Who Ever Was, and honestly, it's a good setup for season 3, I think. But yeah, before we get into this, please do not forget to like, comment, subscribe. I really want to get your feedback, you guys, on when it comes to my reviews. And honestly, let's start off with my boy Aemon, bruh. Let's start off with Aemon, honestly. Aemon is an interesting case because he's one of the Targaryens that I would say I felt bad for in the first season of House of the Dragon. And him getting Vhagar was kind of like, even that whole moment was kind of like, ooh, like this could be good, but like technically Vhagar should go to like Rhaena or Baela. But he got Vhagar. And so you get into season 2, and honestly, a lot of the vibes with Aemon were more so like, they really leaned into, he was bullied as a kid and now he's getting his revenge. Even Alicent said something about it. Even Alicent calls it out. So to be honest, it's really, it was something seeing that all play out. Like the look of it, the look of him being a skilled fighter, him knowing how to ride his dragon, even though like he still can't fully, he kind of got lucky with Vhagar. It's kind of like Ash in the first season of Pokemon getting Charizard when it comes to Aemon and Vhagar's relationship, it seems like. But he's kind of turned into a villain, you know? He had his whole thing with his brother Aegon and everything that happened with that. You know, him basically getting his brother set up so that he could be king, essentially. But it's kind of corny. I think overall his story is kind of like meh. Like it's not as interesting as it once was for me with his character. Now when it comes to the whole, I know, kind of polar opposite, but the whole House of Velaryon thing with Corlys trying to find an heir, Rhaenys acknowledging like, look, Adam and Alan, they look like they're your sons. I ain't gonna lie. I didn't see how you could see with Alan until they had the episode where like he was shaving his head. And I really thought something was weird about him shaving his head. And I was like, what's going on here? I'm like, oh, he has white hair. Duh, he's this bastard. It makes perfect sense. I like the fact that we're starting to see more of Alan's personality come out, and you kind of start to see the resentment that he has between his father, Corlys, his biological father, Corlys, and the life him and his brother had to go through, the struggle seeing Corlys's family, like basically House Velaryon, like they had money, all this stuff. And honestly too, even with Adam, it's interesting because it's like the way I view Alan and Adam is kind of similar to how I view TK and Matt off of Digimon Adventure. If any of y'all know, those two are brothers. They had parents that were together when they were born, but they got divorced, on Matt being the older brother, the older protective, kind of depressed. Whereas, or not depressed, but like he just sees the reality of what things are. Whereas you get the brother Adam, and I'll give that comparison to TK where like, he's a younger brother that's like not as negative. He hasn't been beaten down by the world and whatnot. And he still has like this hope, or at least for me, I made that comparison because it's like, that's the best way for me to understand them both is like, Alan is the serious brother. Adam is clearly not the serious brother, but he's serious. He's not serious because he's kind of like, look, man, it's the life we lived. I'm going to get over all this like stuff that Alan is clearly still kind of holding some resentment over. And he's like, look, man, I got Sea Smoke as a dragon. It's all good. You know, I got my Digimon. So like, what's the issue for real? I really did want to see them become legitimized because it seems pretty obvious that Corlys is going to legitimize both of them. It's going to be interesting to see though if Alan will be the Lord of House Velaryon or if Adam will be. I'm leaning more towards Adam just because Alan seems like he seems like he just wants to be the first mate. So that's kind of my thoughts when it comes to House Velaryon. Now, obviously, the overall narrative of this entire season has been House Black, which is Rhaenyra and Daemon, basically, versus House Green, which is essentially Alicent and her children, right? And so, personally, we House Black over here. We Team Black over here. We Team Black over here. You feel me? So, I am more for Rhaenyra being queen, because that's really what her father wanted. Let's be for real, it's Alicent's fault for not knowing the Song of Ice and Fire and knowing like Aegon's conquest and all this stuff, and Aegon will be the Princess Promise or whatever, you know, that being Jon Snow later down the line. But she misinterpreted that, and to be honest, in a way, going into the season, she's been like my most I haven't liked her the best this season, honestly. She kind of goes through her own redemption arc, I would say, not just Alicent, but also like Daemon. Daemon kind of goes through his own redemption arc too. It's interesting. Both houses kind of go through that sort of thing. And by the time you get to the end of the season, House Black is up. House Green's like, they're down. They're down because freaking Aemon fucked over his brother, fucked over Aegon. So now Aegon can't fly his dragon. Helena's not really about it like that, so she's probably not gonna fly her dragon, most likely. The rest, like House Green is pretty much cooked, it seems like, by the end of the season. Rhaenyra has like, what, 6-7 dragons on her side, including her own. Probably about to be 8, potentially. With Rhaena potentially getting Sheep Stealer, from what I've heard. That's the dragon's name, Sheep Stealer, I've been hearing. And it seems pretty obvious she's gonna get it. Otherwise, just kill Rhaena off. Like, that might be kind of something extreme to say, but it's like when you have certain characters in the story that feel underutilized and they hold no big importance, they could be a sacrificial lamb in a way. I think the only thing that House Green has now is the fact that Aemon is going to be thinking more desperately now. He does still have Vhagar, but it's only a matter of time before Rhaenyra and the rest of the Dragon Seeds pull up with her. We'll pull up against him, and who knows how that's going to go. Most likely he's probably going to lose, but we'll get to that point when we get to that point. When it comes to like Daemon's arc, he was kind of the most disappointing character to watch this season, because although Daemon is like the character he was in season 1, he was that type of person. He was the person that's kind of like execute now, ask questions later sort of dude. But now he's starting to, he went through his whole arc at Harrenhal. Him just being there was kind of like, I'm tired of him going through these weirwood dreams and nightmares and visions. I'm just like, I'm tired of this. But I get it, he had to go through that. But I think that could have been done in maybe a few less episodes than what we got personally. But at least now he's kind of like, look, I don't want to be king no more. I'm gonna just support Rhaenyra. In this season 2 finale, I like seeing Daemon essentially realizing, okay, yeah, I'm gonna just acknowledge like Rhaenyra, like, it's my wife, my niece, you know, you know how the Targaryens get down. But seeing that was like, all right, cool. I'm interested to see what's gonna play out for him, because from what I did hear, he does get killed. I heard he gets killed by Vhagar and Aemon. I'm not looking forward to that at all. I'm sorry if that's a spoiler, but that happened in the books. Maybe it won't happen like that in the show, but like, I don't know. I don't want to see him die, but it's like they wasted his character so much, I feel like, this season. But then again, you could argue too, like, his character might not have even needed to be utilized like that this season either. So we'll see with that. The vision that Daemon had, it was kind of whatever. Like, it was like, okay, like, he had a vision of what the future would look like. He kind of saw his death. I don't know if that's exactly how he's supposed to die or what, but you see him die. You see what happens in the future. And it basically fast forwards all the way to, you know, the White Walkers coming back, winter is coming, Daenerys with her dragons, which he doesn't know it's Daenerys, but they show that because Daenerys comes from the House Black bloodline. You know what I mean? She comes from them. So that's kind of why he had that vision. But yeah, what else is there to talk about? I would say the Dragon Seeds. I like the Dragon Seeds episode a lot. When someone becomes a dragon rider, like they find their dragon chooses them, whatever. Like they transform and they change, right? And I feel like with Adam, he's still doing the same shit he was doing before. Like when he found out that, not even when he found out, when Sea Smoke found him and chose him and whatnot, and Rhaenyra and him had a talk after that, a little confrontation they had or whatever, he was basically like, look, I support you. Like I've always supported House Black. Like that's what I'm for. Like same dude still, even now that he has his own dragon and everything. Whereas with Hugh, I would even say with Hugh it's the same thing. Like he's kind of like, I see the benefit in all of this, and I don't necessarily, even though I haven't officially became not a bastard or haven't officially been given this lord title and all this stuff, like kind of same vibes. But then there's Ulf. He was freaking with the small folk and just saying like, oh, I'm gonna be a Targaryen and all this stuff and da da da. And like he was scared to even try to become a dragon rider. You know what I mean? He was scared. So like when Silverwing basically approached him, it took him no work really to become a dragon rider. So you kind of get the vibe that like he might feel like he's had these things handed to him, and now he's starting to show his true character. I'm not really fucking with it right now. I'm really not, and I'm kind of worried low-key for Rhaenyra and House Black, just because he doesn't shut the fuck up. Like shut up. Another person I wanted to mention too that I actually have enjoyed seeing his story and kind of seeing him kind of like grow as a character in a way was Jacaerys. Like it was cool seeing Jace like more like coming to his own more and more, and seeing the conflict with him, like the dragon seeds and the dragon seeds that became dragon riders, and how he's like, technically I'm a bastard, and like going through this whole story arc within himself, or his own personal arc in a way. And he's still kind of going through it. We'll see how that plays out next season. But I like the approach he's taking, where he's kind of like, I'm still Prince, and like if my mom dies, like I'm gonna become king. And he has to kind of remember that, right? And then you see him like standing up to Ulf, and it's like in a way you get the undertone vibes of like, I'm gonna talk to you this way because you're a bastard and you're not noble and da da da. And even the dinner that they had, it's an interesting thing, because now everything that Jace was talking about with having these dragon seeds and having these dragon riders might come to fruition potentially. So yeah, there's that for sure. But I want to see more of Jace next season. I want to see him come into his own a lot more, and kind of just like Jace has made some moves. Like shout out to Jacaerys. Like he's done his thing. The person that's really started this mess in the first place, Alicent. Let's get to her, honestly. Alicent, the way she's been this entire season, I think I've already said it earlier, but she kind of goes through her own arc as well. And you start to see, like, slowly but surely, you can tell she's starting to question, should I have said Viserys mentioned Aegon's name on his deathbed? And you start to see like how the council doesn't really care about her as much, or her presence, which in a way I would argue it makes sense to not care about her presence. You know, it makes sense for Alicent's presence not to be there, because she never had nothing to do with war. So I can understand the seats and the positions that people will play. And I think she could basically come to the conclusion of like, yeah, I fucked up. And even though she doesn't necessarily acknowledge, even in this finale, she still doesn't say, yeah, this is my fault that these things happened. There's still like her the Dragonstone, and talking to Rhaenyra and really trying to tap into the friendship and the love that they had for each other before and whatnot. It shows that she has some regrets. Honestly, it really does show that she has some regrets. But what is she to do? You know what I mean? Like, other than just she's trying, because she also realizes too during this arc that, like, yes, the dance of the dragons, that's what these dragons are, nuclear weapons. So it's kind of where we expected that everything's gonna go to shit, because it's just dragons versus dragons, really, at the end of the day. And that's what Rhaenyra is gearing up for, you know? So Alicent kind of lays it all on the table, and she's basically like, look, I will backdoor my own child right now, you know? She said, Aemon's not going to be here. He's over there trying to get to the Riverlands and take out the Riverlands and kind of just, you know, he's not going to be in the kingdom. That's really what it is. And even if Aegon is there, Aegon is disabled, really. He's crippled. He can't do nothing. And that's kind of where this season 3 stuff gets interesting. Had they just, I feel like there's so many times I could say this throughout this entire video, but I'm gonna say it only like maybe now, maybe one other time. But it just makes you think, like, what if they had 2 more episodes? I feel like if they had 2 more episodes, episode 9 would be like the dramatic buildup of, like, okay, Rhaenyra can basically just backdoor. She can backdoor the you know, the king. She can backdoor the king and become queen like that. Or she can do what she was already trying to do, which is like, let me get my dragon seeds together and I'm gonna fight. And I feel like there's another option she might have had that I'm kind of forgetting right now. I think honestly what's gonna end up happening is, I think Rhaenyra is probably gonna just end up using the dragons. I don't think she's gonna go through all of that trouble, sacrifice. Like, people still died in order to get these dragon riders, or at least to get Hugh and Ulf as the dragon riders, right? Season 2 of House of the Dragon has been pretty slow. I just felt like the slow points during the season, those are the slow points you get like in a season 6 or 7 of Game of Thrones. Not like a season 2 of Game of Thrones. It's too many moments that felt slow and dragged out. I didn't really like it. I didn't love it. Like, I wish they had sped certain things up. I really do genuinely believe Daemon's arc could have been quicker in a way. I just felt like him and Rhaenyra being separated kind of like it ruined the aspect that I enjoyed about the first season. And now, granted, it's hard to compare the first season and the second season of House of Dragon to each other, because the first season was so much happened. You know, there wasn't a House Black and House Green in the beginning of that season. It was really Rhaenyra going to become the queen of the 7 kingdoms, you know, because her dad couldn't have a son with her mom that lived. And then he did with Alicent. And then you get the time skip and all this different stuff. It's just something about that season felt very intentional in every way. And yeah, you can't keep having time skip after time skip after time skip. But like, there's certain things about that I really enjoyed. I even enjoyed the actor that portrayed Lucerys, even though RIP, but like, it's just certain stuff I wish we got to get more from that first season. But here we are. This is what we got. I think season 3 is going to pick up things a lot. I think the show is also impacted by the writer's strike. I think that's probably another reason why this season only got 8 episodes instead of 10. But yeah, y'all let me know what you think in the comment section. Those are my thoughts, honestly. Those are my thoughts when it comes to House of Dragon season 2. And yeah, if y'all enjoyed this discussion about season 2, don't forget to like. I already told you, comment, please. I highly recommend commenting. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you want more Game of Thrones, House of Dragon sort of content from me. It's something that does pique my interest. It's one of the few like not a few. There's a lot of stuff that piqued my interest, but it's one of the ones that like I'm down to have a discussion about that from a casual like Game of Thrones, House of Dragon fan perspective. Yeah, y'all let me know, and feel free to subscribe. Peace. Team Black over here.